Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alright guys, welcome back again with me, Ilhamud 217. Alright, in today's video we want to discuss about modern and postmodernism period of poetry. Before that, I want to you know, or I want to introduce our member, which is Genadia Putri Setyana, Anissa Jihan Salsabil, Rahmatur Rodiah, me myself Ilhamuddin Muhammad, and then Neira Ainiyah Azmi. Today's discussion contains about first, introduction of modern period, second, stages of modern period, third, impacts of modern period, and the fourth, which is famous figures, ya, tokoh-tokoh terkenal yang memprakarsai periode ini. Baik, I hope you ignore the background, right? My birds are singing, Okay, let's jump to the material. Broadly speaking, modernism might be said to have been characterized by a deliberate and often radical shift away from tradition and consequently by the use of new and innovative forms of expression. Thus, many styles in art and literature from the late 19th and early 20th centuries are markedly different from those that preceded them. The term modernism generally covers the creative output and artists and thinkers who saw traditional approaches to the arts, architecture, literature, religion, social organization, and even life itself had become outdated in light of the new economic, social, and political circumstances of by now fully industrialized society.
Next, we're gonna discuss about stage modern period. Let's get started. In the discussion of modern period stage, we will discuss about two things. The first is the early modern period and the second is the modern period. Okay, for the first material, I want to explain about the early modern period. The early modern period of English literature began in roughly 1485, around the time the Tudor dynasty came into control of England. The introduction of the printing press in 1476 led to an emphasis on the English language and a focus on vernacular literature. This period saw a Reformation movement as the struggle between political power and religion came center stage with Henry VIII. Often referred to as the Renaissance period in English literature, the early modern period was marked by humanism. The next is the modern period. The modern period or modern era or also modern times is the period of history that succeeds in the Middle Age, which end in approximately 1500 as a historical term. It is applied primarily to Europe and Western history. The modern era is further divided as follows. The first is the early period, outlined above. The second, the 18th century Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution in Britain, and the last is our present or contemporary era. Modernism literature involves such authors as Knut Hamsun, whose novel Hunger in 1890 is considered to be the first modernism novel, Virginia Woolf, Elliot, Gertrude Stein, Hilda Doolittle, Dylan Thomas, Paul Laurence, Ezra Pound, Minoloy, James Joyce, Hugh March, William Faulkner, Jane Stoner, Ernest Hemingway, Rainer Maria Rilke, Scott and others.
Okay, I want to explain about impacts of modern period. The modern period has been a period of significant development. It has also been an age of discovery and globalization. Jadi periode modern telah menjadi periode perkembangan yang signifikan karena telah menjadi zaman penemuan globalisasi like science, politics, warfare, and technology. It is during this time that the European powers and later their colonies began their political, economic, and cultural colonization of the rest of the world. And then by the late 19th and early 20th century, modernist art, politics, science, and culture had come to dominate. Jadi tidak hanya Eropa Barat dan Amerika Utara saja yang telah didominasi, tetapi hampir setiap wilayah berada di dunia. The first half of the 19th century saw an aesthetic turning away from the realities of political and social fragmentation and so facilitated a trend toward romance.
Okay, now we will talk about the famous figure of modern era. The first is T.S. Eliot. Thomas Stearns Eliot was born in Missouri on September 26, 1888. Based on the reader's testimonial, many readers find Eliot's writing is difficult to read because of its abstract. Eliot first gained his reputation as the result of his magnificent experiment in poetry, The Wasteland, which appeared in 1922 and then seems bewildering in several ways. Due to its complicated symbolic language, it is mosaic-like technique, and its apparatus of erudite allusion. Jadi, Eliot itu mendapatkan reputasi pertama pada karya yang berjudul The Wasteland. Nah, tetapi pada saat itu pembaca itu susah membacanya karena menggunakan simbol-simbol seperti teknik mozaik dan juga menggunakan bahasa kiasan yang sangat tinggi. On the other hand, Eliot had gained important contribution to the literature by provision of various usable writings and poetry, representing the realities. His ideas regarding importance of tradition and literature history within society. He has been appreciated and well honored for his all good workings such as The Wasteland and Essay of Tradition and the Individual Talent. Moreover, what is more interesting about Eliot is that he was able to juxtapose his creative techniques with the theme of tradition. Eliot's poems such as The Wasteland and the Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock demonstrate that the poet's disillusionment with the new world of its lack of regard for traditions, but the style of the poem is anything but traditional. And the second one, there is Gertrude Stein. Stein was a woman writer who wrote about women with humor and intelligence. She was also openly gay and wrote what have been identified as some of the first coming-out stories in literary history. At a time of homophobia and closet homosexuality, Stein became a mass-market celebrity despite her public status as a gay woman. She and her partner of 39 years, Alice B. Douglas, declared themselves married and remained together until Stein's death in 1946. Their relationship is now seen one of literature's greatest love. She wrote The Making of American and published 3 stories under the title Three Lives, followed by Tender Button, which has been the described as a verbal college. And the first is The Making of Americans. Being a history of a family's progress is a modernist novel by Gertrude Stein. The novel traces by genealogy, history, and psychological development of members of the fictional Heartland and Haining families. Then, Tender Buttons, consisting of 3 sections titled Object, Food, and Rooms, while the short book consists of multiple poems covering the everyday mundane. Stein's experimental use of language renders the poems unorthodox and their subjects unfamiliar. And the next will be delivered by my friends. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I would like to continue my friend's presentation. The next figure that we would like to talk is about Sir Thomas Wyatt. Sir Thomas Wyatt introduced the sonnet into English language and literature. Although he took some structures from the sonnet, his rhyme schemes are significantly different. This marks the beginning of the English use of 3 quatrains and a closing couplet. One of his famous masterpieces is Huzulis to Hunt. Huzulis to Hunt is a poem about unrequited love, but it is not exactly romantic. The author describes about pursuing a woman who rumored to be Anne Boleyn, with whom Wyatt had an affair in real life, and uses an extended metaphor to convey the dynamics of their relationship. It's like hunting a deer he cannot catch. The last figure that we would like to talk is about Edmund Spenser. Unlike his predecessors, Spenser was not wealthy and grew up among the working class of England, something shown in his earlier works. Spenser's goal was to write about individual moral qualities. When the epic was finished, show the ideal human being. Spenser's epic has many layers of allegory, and he also attributes many of the virtues to different historical figures, celebrating Queen Elizabeth, the Protestant faith, and the English nation. Some of his famous masterpieces are The Shepherd's Calendar and The Fire Queen. The Shepherd's Calendar consists of 12 eclogues. Eclogues are short pastoral poems in the form of a dialogue or soliloquy. Spenser's piece was one of the first in the pastoral genre, which focuses on rural life and the responsibilities of shepherds. And the next masterpiece is The Fire Queen. Spenser was a devout Protestant, and his attitude towards religion can be seen in what is considered his greatest work. This incomplete epic poem was published in 2 parts and makes use of the Spenserian stanza, a form invented by Spenser that contains 9 lines, 8 in iambic pentameter and 1 final line in iambic hexameter. Alright everyone, thank you for your nice attention. We do apologize if we made any mistake in our presentation. We are happily waiting for your feedback or question. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.